Sixers win. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Run It Back Philly. Sixers post-game live, brought to you by Game Time Ticket app and DraftKings Sportsbook. Thank you for being here. We're going to talk about the Sixers 108-98 victory over the Charlotte Hornets. Joel Embiid returning, Paul George being Podcast P, and more. The fact that they blew a 21-point lead again like clockwork. Nick Nurse making me want to pull my hair out. We're going to talk about all of it. And I want you to join the discussion by being active in the chat. Also, the Discord link is pinned to the top of the chat for you to call the show and give me your input. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit that like button one time. The like button is currency for us YouTube content creators. I give you these shows during and after every single 76ers game. All I ask in return is that you hit that little like button. And I also ask that you check out my merch store to get all the Sickos merch and the Maxey McCain 25 t-shirts, and I'm giving you 20% off. Promo code SICKOS20. Thank you to everyone for supporting the channel in every way possible. Now, we cracked open a stout. The grocery store around the corner the other night did not have Founder's Breakfast Stout, so this is a Trogs Grand Cacao Chocolate Stout. And the Sixers won, and it's a Friday night, so we are pouring ourselves an adult beverage. Trogs Grand Cacao Chocolate Stout. Oh, yeah. We are live on YouTube. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, check us out live after every single game on YouTube at Run It Back Philly. Let's get down to business. Thank you for being here. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Sixers win. They beat the Charlotte Hornets 108-98. They won by 10 points. Now, the positives. Let's start with the positives because there hasn't been many positives this season. The positive is Joel Embiid returned. Joel Embiid returned from a sinus fracture with wearing a mask, and he looked, I would say, as good as he did against the Chicago Bulls, and that's really all I wanted to see from Joel Embiid. I knew it was the Charlotte Hornets without LaMelo, without a couple of players, but we were watching this game to see what shape Joel Embiid looked like he would be in to decide moving forward if we're going to start to believe in the 76ers this season or not. The sinus fracture, I thought Joel Embiid was going to be out for longer than he was. He came back way quicker than I thought he was going to, wearing a mask, and he looked like his dominant self, at least at this stage of his career. And, 75% Joel Embiid still makes this team just way better than they would be otherwise. I mean, the beginning of the season without Joel, they were losing to everybody under the sun. Grady Dick and the Toronto Raptors, for crying out loud. You know what I'm saying? So he's back. He played with a mask. He looked good. Now I know what the haters are going to say. They're going to say, dude, bro, it was the Hornets. Dude, it was the Hornets. It was Nick Richards. Are you really going to overhype this game? Yes, I am. Yes, because I didn't know what I was going to see from Joel Embiid this season. We watched this guy miss the first 9 games of the season. He played 4 games. He looked absolutely atrocious. Then he sat out a bunch more games with knee swelling. Then he played against the Chicago Bulls and dropped 34 and 10, and we thought he looked pretty damn good, even though that was the worst defense in the league. And so what I'm saying is, yes, Joel Embiid should dominate Nick Richards and the Charlotte Hornets. And he did. So that tells me we at least got a level of Joel Embiid that's closer to what we are used to seeing. If he would have went out here tonight and struggled against Nick Richards and the Charlotte Hornets and put up 12 on 5 for 20 or whatever, then that would be a negative. You know what I'm saying? Yes, it was the Charlotte Hornets. Yes, they're not good. Yes, it was without a couple of guys. It's literally Nick Richards, Isaiah Wong, Vasile Micic, and a child abuser. Like, that's literally the Charlotte Hornets team right now. But I'm just happy Joel Embiid looked like a better version of himself than we saw in certain parts of this season. And I'm just happy he's on the floor. I'm just happy he's on the floor. And as I'm saying this, Brian Pumper super chats and says exactly what I said he was going to say. DJ, we can't be praising the Hornets and Pistons merchant Joel Embiid. We're not. I literally just got done saying, I know what the haters are going to say. And Brian Pumper types in the chat exactly what I just said he was going to say. Come on, bro. But anyway, I want to say this, man. It is sad that the 76ers, with Joel Embiid coming back from a meniscus, a swelling knee, being a 7'2", 300-pound, 31-year-old, and a sinus fracture, the 76ers are still absolutely dog shit when Joel Embiid goes to the bench. For 9 years now, the 76ers have been unable to put a strong supporting cast around Joel Embiid. Now, I will say that Nick Nurse's staggering and his lineup decisions in this game were as putrid as they've been all season. But yeah, Joel, he came back in the fourth quarter when we were inevitably blowing another game. I mean, the Hornets got all the way down to 6. We were up by 20 plus. They got it all the way down to 4 points in the fourth quarter. It's like clockwork at this point because the team's not good. The team's not good. Any team who's playing 40-year-old Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon together in bench lineups is not good. I need you guys to understand that. The people that are like, why you keep saying the team's not good? We're not healthy. We're not healthy. This is the team healthy. The bench lineup is Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon. You got to understand those are the two shortest, slowest, most unathletic, oldest players in the entire NBA on the floor at the same time. It's fucking insane that anybody would do that and think it's going to work. But this is the team that Daryl Morey put together. He gave all the money to Paul George and he signed all the buyouts. And if they played for the Houston Rockets at any point in their career, it was an automatic signing. So the bench comes in. Well, that's not exactly what happened, but they were blowing another lead and we needed Joel Embiid to come back in. He came back in. He immediately went right at Moussa Diabate. He immediately went right at Nick Richards in the paint. He dominated. He extended the lead back to 10 plus, and the Sixers won the game. So this is what we're used to seeing, what we've been used to seeing over the years with the Sixers and the impact of Joel Embiid. So I'm just saying that's why I'm happy about this. Now, let's talk about how they blew the lead, why they blew the lead, and what's going to happen moving forward. The 76ers started this game out with a 41-point first quarter. Tyrese Maxey was hot from three. He had 4 3-pointers in the first quarter. I'm not even sure if he hit another 3 the rest of the game. Or Paul George was putrid from start to finish. Had some assists and rebounds, but is exactly what I've said he is all season now, which is a make or miss guy. If his shot is on, he'll give you 30 like he did on Monday. If his shot is off, it ain't gonna get better. you might as well send him home right then and there. You know what I'm saying? But they started the game with a 41-point first quarter. Joel Embiid was having a good game. Tyrese Maxey was having a good first quarter. The bench lineup that Nick Nurse played in the first quarter included one Ricky Council IV. Ricky Council, in 4 minutes in the first quarter, had 7 points and 2 rebounds and a couple of end-to-end fast breaks and one insane in-and-out dribble on a 1-on-3 fast break into a two-handed tomahawk slam in the first quarter. And the Sixers lack that level of end-to-end athleticism so much. And Ricky Council's 7 points in 4 minutes in the first quarter. End-to-end, in and out on a 1-on-3, two-handed slam, and then hits a 3 in the corner. In the second quarter, the bench lineup does not include Ricky Council. It includes Eric Gordon and Kyle Lowry, and the 76ers get demolished in the second quarter, and they score a whopping 17 points. Now, you tell me if this is rocket science or not. You play the most athletic guy on the team in the first quarter, who injects your team with energy and hustle and fight and fire and just absolute reckless abandon the way he sprints both ends of the floor and dunks on people and forces contact. And you're feeding off of that in your bench lineup. Second quarter, no Ricky Council at all. He finishes the first half with 4 minutes and had 7 points and 2 rebounds and all of that I said. And the Sixers go from a 41-point first quarter to a 17-point second quarter. There was also a lineup in that second quarter that was Paul George, who played the entire first, by the way. He played 15 straight minutes. I'm so confused by what Nick Nurse did in this game. Paul George played 15 straight minutes. Yeah, 34-year-old Paul George, who's tired from recording podcasts today and hyperextends his knee every other week, played 15 straight minutes to start the game. And he had him out there to start the second quarter in a death lineup that included Eric Gordon and Kyle Lowry. And that lineup was atrocious. And nobody could score, and nobody could defend, and they scored 17 points in the second half. They scored 41 in the first. And the Charlotte Hornets cut into a 20-point lead right then and there in the second. Third quarter, starting lineup struggles, really. More Ricky Council in the third quarter. More end-to-end athleticism. Almost postered somebody again. Drew a foul. You need to surround Joel, Paul George, and Maxey with youth and athleticism. It's pretty obvious. Every time he went back to the Nick Nursing home lineup of Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon, they got destroyed. So it was nice to see Joel Embiid, get his feet under him and look closer to the level that we're used to seeing. It was Nick Nurse. I think it was a terrible coaching game. I think it was. And also this. When I say I would rather him play Justin Edwards, the 6'7", 21-year-old out of Kentucky, than Eric Gordon, people think I'm crazy. They're like, how's that gonna? Oh yeah, playing a rookie who blah blah blah, who's undrafted or whatever, is gonna do. Yes, because you see the examples in front of your face when you watch a team like the Charlotte Hornets, bro. That's what I mean when I say, why isn't he playing those younger players? Because not only are you not playing those younger players when your roster is struggling and you have had all these injuries, other teams are playing guys like Daquan Jeffries off the bench and a rookie named Tijane Salon, who was like a third pick in the draft, and Musa Diabate and Isaiah Wong, So other teams play these young, undrafted, or second-round picks or no-name players, and they succeed a little bit. Why? Because they're good enough to be in the NBA. They can play ball. Justin Edwards can play ball, but he can't sniff the floor under Nick Nurse. No, Eric Gordon, Kyle Lowry. I need experience. Against the Charlotte Hornets without LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. I need experience. I couldn't possibly look to the end of my bench while I'm getting cooked in the second quarter and in the beginning of the fourth or whatever by Daquan Jeffries and Musa Diabate and Isaiah Wong. It just frustrates me, man. Because would Nick Nurse put a guy named Daquan Jeffries on the floor? Yes or no in the chat? The answer is no. Would he put a guy named Musa Diabate or Isaiah Wong in an NBA game? The answer is no. That's what frustrates me so much. You see these young, hungry players doing it on other teams, and I'm forced to watch Eric Gordon and Kyle Lowry. You know what I'm saying? That's just a little rant that I wanted to go on there. What else? Podcast P, man, had an atrocious game. And he was terrible from start to finish. Let's just look at the stats, man. Paul George making $50 million a year. $212 million max contract. After putting up 33 against the Hornets on Monday, he says, you know what? I only got to play one game a week. I'm a part-time NBA player, full-time podcaster. I'm only good for one game a week. So the second game of the week, which was, 4 days apart, Paul George in 39 minutes, 2 for 12, 1 for 7 from 3. And you know what really frustrates me about him? 10 rebounds, I love that. I love the effort on the boards when we struggle to rebound because Joel Embiid went 3.5 quarters with 0 rebounds in this game, which is crazy. I like the rebounds from Paul George. I like the assists from Paul George. But what frustrates me most is that when he's struggling to shoot, he quits. With Paul George, there's no starting out cold and then getting it together in the third quarter and going on a little bit of a run or anything like that. If he's cold, the time he wakes up that day, he's cold for that day. There's no changing it. And what frustrates me is that you'll see him 5 or 6 times in a game drive into the lane. The defense isn't crashing anymore because you're stinking up the joint, and he's still passing the ball. And then he starts passing the ball with wide open layups. I mean, he starts passing the ball right next to the rim on some Ben Simmons shit, for real. And then I'm looking at the TV saying, what the hell is this guy doing? And then in the third quarter, Paul George gets a head of steam down the lane. Everybody moves again on some Ben Simmons shit. And he goes up with the left wide open NBA player. And you can't put the ball in the hoop. Right in front of the rim. Left hand. Missed it. And just shakes his head. Bro. Clippers fans told me, bro. I mean, this guy, a lot more skilled than Tobias Harris. But literally Tobias Harris. You know what I'm saying? When I called him the Michael Jordan of Tobias Harris's, that's exactly what I meant. He's the best of all the Tobias Harrises. He's the GOAT of Tobias Harris's, bro. It's just wild how inconsistent this guy is, and that's what he did, most of the past couple of years. That's what he did in LA. You're just gonna have to live with it. But it's crazy to me that he's on a 4-year contract at $50+ million a year. It's insane. I mean, the guy just scored 5 points against the Charlotte Hornets without their best players. He scored 5 points. Bro, what? I would have rather you paid somebody else that money, or 3 or 5 other players that money. You know, we did the same thing with Tobias Harris when I was talking about how the Knicks last year, Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, and OG Anunoby, I think, had a combined salary that still didn't touch Tobias Harris's yearly salary. And I thought we were going to go into this season and have, hey, maybe we're going to spend our money on multiple high-level role players. Nope, we got out of the Tobias Harris contract, and we're right back in another one. Now what do you do? This is why your bench lineup is Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon, because there's nobody else. You don't have a deep team because you couldn't pay anybody else. Tyrese Maxey started out hot, loved the first quarter, really cooled off. He had 4 threes in the first quarter. He finished the game with 4 threes. So he was 4 for 5 in the first quarter, and he went on to miss 6 more threes. There was points in the game where I was saying, you know, Tyrese Maxey needs to stop chucking threes. He's starting to look like a little mellow ball out there, who was 3 for 18 last night. And then Tyrese in the second half did start to get into more of a dribble into a mid-range jumper and get to the rim a little bit. So I do think Tyrese Maxey has been chucking threes a little bit too much this season. So, it would be nice to see some more consistency from Tyrese, but 9 for 18 is 50% from the field. 4 for 11 is like 35% from 3. So not an ice cold, terrible game from Tyrese. Pretty good game from Tyrese. It was just all hot in the first quarter and kind of coasted, the rest of the game. Kelly Oubre gave us 22 again. The Hornets killer. Chip on his shoulder. Revenge game every time he plays. Every time he plays the Hornets. Ricky Council had 11 points. Again, I don't understand Nick Nurse's, hatred for an athletic guy who injects you with energy and hustle. KJ Martin defensively was lights out once again. Look at his plus minus. KJ Martin was a plus 20. The KJ Martin lineups were incredible. The Joel Embiid lineups were incredible as far as the differential. Now, just like the difference between like a KJ Martin, who was a plus 20, right? Eric Gordon was a minus 13. Why is that? Because of exactly what I'm saying. And Eric Gordon hit a couple threes last game, so people want to be all, oh, he still has a little bit left. Oh, didn't he have like 7 points off the bench, 9 points off the bench last game, blah, 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 because all they do is stat watch and they don't actually watch games. He's horrible. He's cooked. And him and Kyle Lowry on the floor together is a death lineup. Look at Lowry in 13 minutes. Goose egg, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 4 personal fouls. These two guys should not be in the NBA anymore. And I'm watching them get on the floor when my team's winning and blow leads to the worst teams in the league, missing players. And then this is what I'm saying, bro. Any other players you could bring off the bench, you can't keep doing this. You can't keep doing this. You need an entire new bench lineup, and I don't care if you got to pull them out of the G League or what you got to do. You need an entirely different bench lineup. You got to pull it. I don't care. G League, get them from down the street at somebody's college or high school. I don't care. You can't continue to have a bench lineup of Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon. You're asking to lose. They won the game, against Daquan Jeffries and Isaiah Wong and Musa Diabate. By the way, Adem Bona was active and back from his injury, and he got a DNP from Nick Nurse. Guys, Nick Nurse he's not good. He can win with a stacked lineup. He can win with a deep stacked team. But if he needs to get creative, if he has a depleted roster like the one that he has right now, He doesn't do it. He doesn't. He's going to play the old guys. He's not going to change his philosophy. He's not going to. I'm surprised he even played Ricky Council 13 minutes. But without Ricky Council's 11 points off the bench, Sixers don't even win this game. So there's how I feel about it. I was happy to see Joel get back and look, like a decent version of himself, even though it was a terrible team they were playing. Paul George was pathetic. Tyrese Maxey was okay. The rest of the team stunk up the joint outside of Ricky Council, who basically saved the day off the bench. 11 points in 13 minutes. Eric Gordon having 16 minutes and putting up 2 points and being a minus 13 is a disgrace. And Nick Nurse should be embarrassed. And I'm being serious. I cannot believe you are a championship winning coach and you're putting this guy out there and doing that. Every time we had the lead, he put him back in. He put the Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon death lineup in. And they stunk up the joint. Kelly Oubre, again, it was a plus 12, 22 points. He plays like an all-star against the Charlotte Hornets every time he plays them. But this team's going nowhere with this bench, bro. No, what can you do? Even if you get all the players healthy, Paul George, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, you're getting destroyed with this bench. Are you kidding me right now? And shout out to Yabusele bringing a little bit of something off of the bench and then getting a poster dunk on Josh Green in that fourth quarter. That was fun to watch. It looked like his Olympic dunk on LeBron James, so that was nice too. There's my take on the game. I don't know if that means I'm happy about it or not. But there is my take on the game. I'm going to get to the Discord callers here in a second. And the question that I want you to answer in the Discord is, are you happy about this win, or does this win tell you anything? I think that's my question for you guys in the Discord. There's two people waiting to call in. If you want to call in, the link is pinned at the top of the chat. I think that's what I want you to tell me in the Discord. Does this win mean anything? Did it show you something? Or does it not matter at all? Right after this, these post-game live shows are brought to you by Game Time Ticket app. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. If you want to go to a sporting event or a concert or anything, go right to Game Time Ticket app and they'll show you the best deals, the cheapest ticket, whatever you're looking for, they'll show you. You don't have to sift through tickets on Facebook Marketplace and wherever else. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Thank you to Game Time for sponsoring the post-game live shows. My man, Mr. Hoover, is in the Discord, and we're going to hear what he has to say. And again, my question for you in the Discord is, did this game tell you anything? Or does it not matter at all? Mr. Hoover in the Discord. I'm trying to drag you up there. Let me see if I can get this to work. There we go. Mr. Hoover in the Discord, man. What's up?
What's up, DJ? How we doing?
What's going on, bro? I'm doing fantastic. The Sixers win. I'm drinking a chocolate stout. It's great. It's man. It's a beautiful Friday.
There you go. Good. Kudos to you.
Thanks, man. What's up?
To answer your questions, this game did matter because we won something. Second piece is Eric Gordon, Kyle Lowry, gotta go. Gotta go faster than Flash. Gotta go.
But are they gonna go? You know what I mean? Like, I don't,
Oh, no. It's like the bad itch of chickenpox you keep getting over and over and over. Or the bad case of athlete's foot. It's just there and it just irritates.
Are they gonna go?
No.
So what's gonna happen? This is what I mean. You can't even get Joel Embiid and these guys healthy and go into the playoffs with this bench lineup. You can't do that.
Well, what's going to happen is that we're going to not even make the playoffs. I'm being honest.
You don't think we're going to make the playoffs?
If we keep with this bench lineup, because let's be real here. We're winning against the worst teams in the league.
Yeah.
Let's be straight up. We're winning against the worst teams in the league.
Yep.
Okay. We're going absolutely nowhere. When we compete against the good teams, we're getting blown out by 20. I mean, it's not even funny that they don't listen to the fans anymore. It's like it's really embarrassing when you can see how easy your problem is. Like, I mean, because we can see it, but they also study film with it as well.
Do they? That's my...
Well, they're supposed to.
Well, I know that I used to say this about Doc Rivers. I used to say this about Brett Brown too. I was like, do they even watch? How would they be watching the film? How would they see this minus 13 Eric Gordon game and think that that's a lineup that they should continue to run?
They'll probably keep saying that it's the only guys we have. Well, then trade them for cash, buy them out. As I said on our RB show, I'm a fan. If you want to be Coach Lowry, that's fine with me. If you want to be Coach Gordon, that's fine. Buy yourselves out, join the coaching staff. That's fine. I have no problem with that. If you have expertise and you can help the young guys, absolutely.
Before I let you go here, what's your take on this Paul George game?
He got to be better. He got to be better. He had a bad game. He got to be way better on this. Because you cannot be a max caliber player and scoring 5 points with a max contract.
But this is what he did. This is what he's done for a long time. This game is exactly what he did in the last couple of games in that playoff series last year.
I say this next part respectfully. I would not give Paul George a max contract if I was Daryl Morey. And I said it in the offseason. I wouldn't have done it for this reason. Age is a factor. Inconsistency. If you're giving me a max caliber contract, I want Kobe Bryant numbers. I want consistently.
What do you mean?
I want.
What do you mean
Allen
you want
Iverson
Kobe
out
Bryant
here.
numbers, dude? That's a once in a lifetime player, man. We got to set the bar way lower than that. This is the Sixers we're talking about.
Let me say this. if you had, I'm serious. If you had guys punch a clock and you put in work. Okay, let's be real. The regular Joe, like you and me, we pay our rent, we pay our mortgage. These guys, there is no rent, there is no mortgage. Why is it so hard to implement in the NBA a punch clock system? 3 punches if you don't have back-to-back games, an hour apiece, working on rebounding, boxing out, blocking shots, passing, scoring, 3-point shooting, defensive.
I mean,
5-on-5. Offensive.
What do you mean?
5-on-5.
What do you mean punch a clock? What do you mean? They go? Don't they practice? They go to practice, right?
That's not enough. That's not enough. I say this respectfully. I'm basing this on me, okay? When I was a young kid, okay? I always played basketball just to play basketball, have fun, okay? One season in 2008, I took it seriously. My dad got me a basketball hoop. I went and I started practicing during the summer. My points went from 2 points per game to 10 points per game.
Okay, that's my point here. Practice is just not enough because when I was playing, we went to practice and everything. We had a good time. That's good. But if you really want to score and get somewhere in the NBA or just in anything, you got to put in the work. Yeah, well, we're talking about somebody that's a 7-time All-Star. We're talking about somebody that he's falling off. He's cooked. I mean, you're not going to get Paul George is not going to get younger by practicing.
You're going to get younger by practicing, but I mean, hey, if you want to put in some more work, because hey, I'm falling off.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying. I understand exactly. You are making a good point also because you could look at James Harden this year. James Harden this year has been quoted as saying he's taken his diet and his sleep schedule the most serious he ever has in his career because he's 35. And I was like, wow, would have been nice for you to do that when you played for the Sixers. You know what I mean?
Would be nice if Zion Williamson did that.
Well, no, he didn't. That guy's injured again. But anyway,
Yes,
Paul George needs to. Paul George needs to put his head down and say, if I'm going to play for 3 more years for this organization, I need to be better and I need to go work on some things. I agree with that. I don't think he's doing that. I think he's podcasting because he's paid in the shade, Mr. Hoover. You got anything else before I let you go, buddy? Oh, damn.
If you're paid in the shade, let me join. Okay, let me join here.
All right, man. Thanks for calling, Mr. Hoover. What's up?
Down to last thing before you go.
Yeah.
I would go down on the court. I walk up to Eric Gordon. I walk up to Kyle Lowry and say, hey, listen, guys, if I was involved and I was at a top executive, I would say to them, respectfully, we got to let you guys go. Why? It's not cutting the mustard. You want to come?
I wouldn't even say that, Mr. Hoover. Mr. Hoover, listen, man, I love you. Thank you for calling the show. I wouldn't even say that to those dudes. Did you ever see the meme of that guy trying to get into a practice facility and the doors are locked, and he's scanning the card? Dude, if I bought the Sixers right now, I wouldn't even talk to Kyle Lowry or Eric Gordon. I would lock them out of the stadium. I would lock them out of the practice facility. I would fire them without even telling them. You know what I'm saying? And I'd fire the coach too. Nick Nurse would be out there. Oh, why are the doors locked? Because you don't work here anymore, dude. And now give me literally anybody but those dudes, man, because this bench lineup is going to get you murdered if you get into the playoffs. This bench lineup is going to get you killed if you go into the playoffs with this bench lineup, dude. It's just a fact. So I don't know what they're going to change, but I'm excited to see them tomorrow because you blew a lead to Daquan Jeffries, Isaiah Wong, and Musa Diabate. And now you get to play the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the excuse there is going to be, oh, we're on a back-to-back, so But I'm glad we get to see this bench lineup against that team tomorrow, because if it looks anything like it looked tonight, it's going to be an old school beatdown. Hey, Kobe Wan Kenobi in the Discord, man. Thanks for hanging out.
Yo.
What's going on, bro?
What's up, DJ?
How you doing? Man, what's up with you?
I'm chilling, man. Not enjoying the snow, man.
No, the snow is rough, dude. I went out there today, man. And here's the thing, too, man. My dog hates the snow, so she shits in my house when it snows. What you got, man? What you think?
Man, what did this game tell me? It tells me the same thing that has been telling me about the Sixers for years. That, shit is outdated, man. And, I see why everybody's, mad at Embiid, his health and everything like that and all that, man. But, we're talking about age, building a roster, never doing shit in free agency. You know what I'm saying? Never trade do any type of significant trade by the trade deadline. Nothing. I'm talking about throughout the years. We're talking about years. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I feel you know what I mean? I was on paper to say the trade Embiid, 2 years ago, because I love Embiid, but how you were saying, it makes sense to get the assets back and, you know what I mean? And just and let's just start fresh, man, while we still got some shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what did this game tell you? What did this game tell you? Did this win show you something, or did this not matter at all?
No, because I see the same tendency. It matters because we won, but I see the same tendencies and the same approach to the game itself, man. And in the long run, man, it comes down to up top, bro. It comes down from it comes from up top, man. Ownership, the GM, the choices being made in the front office, that's the main issue of this franchise for years. We're seeing the same thing for years.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing that's happening now, minus a lot, Embiid's getting injured back to back. Right now, he's coming off an injury from last year, but just watching Embiid, give Embiid the ball in the post, everybody just stand around, you know what I'm saying? It just. I've
been saying. I said this a couple times this year, man. It's we're watching the same thing over and over.
And when are we gonna when is everybody going to direct the energy? Because like I said, I see all the hate that be going towards Embiid, and I understand it. But like, when are we really going to focus our energy on like the main thing that's really like destroying this franchise, bro? Like,
which is
the
what
people up top, bro.
Oh yeah, I
The
mean,
people up top, choices being made, the front office, Daryl Morey, the choices being made by the GM, like Josh
I mean,
Harris doesn't even care about the Sixers, bro. Like
no,
he's
he
like,
doesn't.
you know what I
Definitely
mean?
doesn't.
Like,
Yeah. No, I mean
it's the same thing every year.
Yeah, it would have to be like, if I think about this ownership group, if I think about it like a restaurant owner, who in a really good location, you can still make money for a couple years by being just
Right.
not knowing what you're doing at all because the markup is so high, but eventually you're going to start to lose money because the product is going to get so bad and he's going to, Josh Harris isn't going to own the Sixers forever. He's just a businessman. He's going to move on to. He tried to buy the Broncos. He's moving on to NFL franchises. And when the Sixers are trending in a direction that isn't going to make him future money, or his profits are going to get cut, he's going to sell the team. That's the only way for it to change, because an owner isn't going to fire themselves, and why the hell would he care if they win anyway? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And it's frustrating knowing all that, like we need people in place of like some culture, like people who want to win, what I mean? Like a GM that actually has culture and actually is part of the culture, like a Danny Ainge to the Celtics, what I mean? Like,
he might be the best GM of all time, honestly.
Huh?
He might be the best GM of all time, honestly. Danny Ainge.
What I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, get guys, we got to put people in place in the front office that wants to win, man. Like, these guys are like, I never seen a team destroy themselves when they were up so many times.
Yeah.
Like, we were up. We supposed to be a juggernaut right now with what we had. We supposed to be a juggernaut, man. And we're talking about everything, all the assets and everything, and all the picks and all the chances we had to get certain players, man.
And here we are battling the 7-21 Charlotte Hornets without their two best players. Here we are.
What are we talking about right now?
Hey, man. Hey, thanks for calling the show, buddy, and have a wonderful Friday, bro, and call back anytime, man. I enjoy it when you call, all right?
Hey, you already know, man. Enjoy your night, man.
All right, man. Take it easy. Yeah, dude, something about what he said, I can't blame an owner for not caring about basketball. It's not like these billionaires are like, I want to buy an NBA team because I love basketball. It's not like Josh Harris was like, I want to purchase the Sixers because I want them to win an NBA championship. That's not what owners are doing. That's not what billionaires do. We shouldn't expect them to do that. We shouldn't expect them to care. The problem is that what a good owner does is they hire, like Jeffrey Lurie, the Philadelphia Eagles, right? He hired Andy Reid, okay, who turned out to be one of the best coaches and pseudo GMs of all time. He was the one drafting players and all that through all of those years. And he hired and trained Howie Roseman underneath of him since 2000. And now the Eagles have, they lived off of the Andy Reid success, and now they live off the Howie Roseman success. Jeffrey Lurie hired the right GMs. Jeffrey Lurie doesn't know what he's doing. He knows that. He's a billionaire who was spoon-fed and is just a rich guy. But he hired the right GMs to build a winning culture and a winning team. Josh Harris consistently does the wrong thing. Just consistently. From the tanking era, the Sam Hinkie era, to extending Brett Brown when he was way out of his element, when the tank was over and you needed an experienced coach. He signed Brett Brown a 3-year extension. Then they fire him. They hire Doc Rivers, who's the most overrated coach of all time. Then they fire him, and they hire Doc Rivers North, who's doing the same thing. But GM-wise, they go and hire a guy who failed in Houston because he's a math guy who has this analytics obsession and thinks I can change the game by percentages, and I don't believe in age, and I don't believe in signing. I believe in signing big names and not filling out a deep roster. Josh Harris has just done the wrong thing. He's hired the wrong people consistently. I don't need the owner to know about basketball. I don't need the owner to care if the team wins a championship. I need the owner to at least hire the people that do. And he hasn't done it the entire time he's owned the team. But, you know, Danny Ainges and GMs like that are so hard to come by. You know what I mean? Like, look at all these franchises, dude. Look at the Detroit Pistons. Look at the Charlotte Hornets. What have they ever done? My entire life, that team has been terrible. The only time the Charlotte Hornets were relevant was when Baron Davis was out there bombing threes and dunking on people at like 6'1" because he was fun to watch. But the Hornets were never good. I don't even think I could name another Charlotte Hornets player besides Baron Davis in the last 20 years. Baron Davis and LaMelo Ball. Those are the two Charlotte Hornets players that I know exist. You know what I'm saying? And you can go Detroit. You can go a couple of the Clippers. You can go a couple of franchises that just can never get that Danny Ainge, that Brad Stevens, that GM that, you know, knows what to put on the team and how to keep up with the trends of the NBA. And, you know, it's, but yeah, I mean, I'm happy Joel Embiid came back. The Paul George contract is just, it's just looking worse and worse and worse. And, to sign him to a max extension is wild. Kemba Walker, that's a good one, NZ. Kemba Walker, I forgot about him. Gerald Wallace. Bro, that's a random one. You got to admit, that's a random one. Gerald Wallace. Seth Curry doesn't count. Gerald Wallace is a random one. I don't got anything else to say about this game, man. Anybody else want to jump into Discord? The link is pinned at the top of the chat. If you got something you want to throw my way, or I'll just answer some of your questions or hot takes in the chat. Kobe, thank you again for calling the show, and thank you for being a member of the channel, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. Questions and hot takes in the chat, man. What's going on? Did you know the Sixers drafted Vasilije Micic in 2014? That's pretty cool. But who cares? Like, I like when people throw that out there when it's a good player. Did you know Alex Caruso was on the 76ers Summer League team in 2014? I like things like that. He was a EuroLeague MVP, though. You're right about that. What else we got, man? Kemba Walker disrespect. Okay, Kemba Walker, that's fine. But it's the same level of player as Baron Davis, a guy that could go out there and give you 45, but the team was never good. You know what I mean? Why wasn't Ricky Council in there at the beginning of the fourth quarter? Because Nick Nurse is insane. That's the answer to that, Pete. That's the answer to that. Are petitions effective in Philly? Probably not. You should be allowed to buy a team if you know how long you're allowed in the key for. Okay. What else we got, man? Joel is the main thing wrong with our culture. Wow. Joel Embiid is the main thing wrong with our culture. Did you know the Philadelphia 76ers won an NBA championship in 1983 only because the ABA collapsed, basically sold to the NBA and sold all their assets to the NBA, and the Philadelphia 76ers ended up with Dr. J in that deal. Dr. J was the face of the ABA, literally the Michael Jordan of the ABA in the late 70s. Do you know how lucky you have to be to land that player? So they won a championship off of him and Moses Malone and Maurice Cheeks and those guys in 83, right? What did they do after that? Not a damn thing for almost 20 years. Do you understand this? For almost 20 years, the Philadelphia 76ers sucked. like Charles Barkley didn't even want to go there. You know, for a while, their best player was Jerry Stackhouse. Dude, they weren't good for a long, long, long time. And then they drafted Allen Iverson in 1996. And he's one of the best players that's ever played, especially pound for pound as a small guy. A 4-time scoring champion, 10-time All-Star. Just absolutely insane to do at his size. Who did they put on the team with him? Who? Name one. Name one. Name one. They failed to put any players to help Allen Iverson win a championship on that squad for the next 10 years, right? And then you go into the 2010 era. What did they do? They drafted Andre Iguodala, number 9 overall in the first round, and tried to turn him into a scoring shooting guard, and he was a project in college. Couldn't shoot, still can't shoot, never could shoot. Tried to make him the number 1 guy, Andre Iguodala, who's literally, you know, when he really played what he was, he turned into a utility player, a Draymond Green style of player, a triple-double, a 10-point triple-double defensive type of player. High-level role player. Kyle Korver they drafted, right? Couldn't get a team good enough to have that level of a shooter, you know, be anything. And what did they do after that era? Traded Andre Iguodala, traded Kyle Korver. What did they do then? Drafted Drew Holiday. Drafted Michael Carter-Williams. And they traded all those guys. Started over again. They traded Drew Holiday to draft, listen to this, Nerlens Noel. This franchise traded, who was already an all-star, by the way. Drew Holiday was an all-star in 2011, 2012, maybe. They traded an all-star point guard, Drew Holiday, to begin the process. And their way of beginning the process was drafting Nerlens fucking Noel. All right? And then they drafted Joel Embiid. And then they drafted Jahlil Okafor. What? They've done it wrong literally for 40 years, dude. So, Joel is the main thing wrong with our culture? No, he's not. They've been bad at making decisions for 40 years. And maybe longer than that, because the only reason they won in the 80s is because they got lucky on the Dr. J ABA collapse. So there's that for you. They've never been good, actually, now that I think about it. The Sixers have never been good. But here we are. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for calling the show. Thank you for being active in the chat. You guys are awesome, man. In the words of my boy RJ, who's probably not here at this point on a Friday, he probably turned the game off at halftime. In the words of RJ, I'm only here for the vibes. You guys have a good night, man. Have a good Friday. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow for the Cavs game right here live on YouTube.